After blowing up this 2-liter turbo Jetta with 100 shot of nitrous in a previous drag race series, Paul and I were dying to know, could we actually get nitrous to work on this Jetta so that we could get it to the drag strip to race that turbo Civic? In the last episode, we rebuilt a BPY, installed forged connecting rods and upgraded bearings. We also adjusted our piston ring gap to account for the nitrous. After swapping in our rebuild engine and getting the Jetta running, now it's time to make a few more upgrades before heading back to the dyno with hopefully better results than last time. And big thanks to eBay Motors for partnering with us on this entire series. Not only did all the nitrous stuff come from eBay Motors, we also got new engine mounts coming for the Civic too. And something Paul and I are super excited about for the Jetta. If you want to check that stuff out, I'll drop links to everything we used from eBay Motors down in the description. So one of the issues that we saw, potentially anyway, was not enough low pressure fuel. We did a high pressure fuel pump upgrade on the nitrous setup the first time. We did nothing to the low side. So this kit is a CTS low pressure fuel pump kit. And here is what we got. Some instructions. These are, okay, so it's an AEM low pressure fuel pump. We have our control module, various assorted things, a little sock for the fuel pump, some wiring, this, which looks like Romex. Hey, Paul, I think you have to plug this into your house to get it to work, but I'm not sure. And then here's the control box, which it looks like has a vacuum thing on it. I'm not sure what that's about. So I think we go to the instructions. My assumption is this is actually a boost fitting. So we would need to run a vacuum line from the engine into the compartment to this. And there's probably like a pressure transducer in there. So when it sees pressure, it makes a connection, turns the pump on, supplies more fuel. However, they don't tell you you need to do that when you're looking to buy like an ad or whatever. So we need to get something to tap into the boost, because this one doesn't have any vacuum lines to tap in for boost. So, good job. The low pressure fuel pump upgrade does require removing the in-tank fuel pump, which is located underneath the back seat. Fortunately for us, we don't have a back seat, so getting this out is pretty easy.
Now, to modify this fuel pump, here's our external one. This guy is gonna sit on the side like that. And so we gotta wire through. This guy is gonna have to get plugged in. We have to remove this hose and then replace it with our Y system. So it's going to have this Y that goes in place, and then it's going to set everything up.
I have a question.
Yes.
How does it attach?
Well, the attachment's kind of an interesting situation.
You just wrap this wire around it? It was more of a rhetorical question because I knew the answer. Also, I probably don't want this in my face. So it attaches with a giant hose clamp. And you just clamp this guy right like that. And oh, guess what? It didn't come with the clamp to attach that. So let me see if I can find you something. I'm disappointed.
Have to drill a hole on top of this pump so that we can connect the wires from this pump. This is the way it's going to sit in the car. We have to disassemble this so that we can actually fit it in the car. And then we have to wire it in so that we can connect all this. And then run this to a power source.
Wow, wiring is so much fun. I bet people are...
Fun with friends. To make this fuel pump function...
I have to walk away.
This is not really the ideal situation, but this is the way it works. So we have an external fuel pump here. We have the main fuel pump, which is inside there, and then it connects here to our pump. We then have to drill a hole through this bucket here, or the top part, so that we can connect the wiring to supply power to this guy. This I had to run behind the fuel sending unit so that we didn't interrupt the ability for the gas gauge to work. And, yeah.
What would happen if we didn't have that and we hit the NOS button?
NOS!
Well, here's the thing. We're not positive we need more fuel. But as a safety measure, we wanted to make sure we had enough fuel in place so that we didn't explode our car because, again, I should say, because we didn't have enough fuel.
Jesus! I did not expect to need...
I like that, Jesus.
Safety glasses for that.
Okay. Well.
Did you die though?
Pretty close. Yeah.
Did it hit you?
No. Oh. But it hit the ceiling.
It definitely hit the ceiling. It really. Pow! The question that you may be asking is, why can't you just run the thing around like you did with your neons that you did just around your door jamb? When you ran your neons around your door jamb, you just looped it around and right over your fender, and then you just went under your hood like that. The reason why is because there's a fuel pump seal that goes here. And if you'd like your gas tank to seal, you need to actually seal it.
How do I feel about this? I'm actually, like, the wiring's totally fine. I'm super good there. I don't love that so much, and this janky way to attach this fuel pump. Would I do this kit again? No. I think I would do a different choice.
But for what we need,
I mean, it's if it works, it works, right? They say it's not stupid if it works. I don't always agree with that. It can be both.
I'll put this in. This is going to be very challenging because the hole is only big enough.
Here, let's practice. Let's practice it.
The hole is big enough for that.
That's how big the hole is.
If you notice, we have a problem with this guy. There's a little bit of a problem.
Why is there so much fuel in there, man?
That's what it's inside of a gas tank. Okay, so let's take a look. There's actually not that much fuel. We're fortunate because sometimes when somebody brings you a car that needs a fuel pump and the gas tank is full, it'll just be like fuel right here.
This doesn't even seem possible.
I don't know if it is. To be quite honest with you, I legitimately don't know if what I'm doing is even possible.
How's it going?
Oh, very terribly.
It looks like it's terrible.
It's really not good. Like,
What if, can I make a suggestion?
yeah, I'm good.
What if you took the top part off, the blue part separate, put the white part in, put the black part in, and then clip the blue part back on?
So the challenge that you have with dealing with fuel pumps is you're standing over what is essentially a very large bucket full of gas. So imagine you fill a 5-gallon spackle bucket with fuel at the gas station, and then you just sit over top of it and breathe. All right, let's try again with the fuel pump. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure about this clamp situation. Hey, Charles, if I get this in, you're never gonna be able to get this out.
Now, I'm sure we can all agree that watching 3 hours of Paul struggling with the fuel pump would be fantastic. However, we have some more modifications to make to the Jetta before we head to the dyno. That does have me thinking, though. What do you guys think of an unedited video of nothing but Paul struggling with this fuel pump? Let me know down in the comments. That said, if you are looking for a low-pressure fuel pump upgrade for an FSI, I would probably recommend looking elsewhere.
All right, fuel pump is in. As you can see, I'm done struggling. I've connected this fuel lines. We now have to run, we have power ground here that we have to run for our module, which the module is gonna sit underneath the dashboard. I'm gonna run a ground up to the footwell over on the passenger side, and then we're running the other power wire to the dash over there.
While Paul wraps up installing the low-pressure fuel pump, I'm going to take care of the wiring. For now, this module is going to live behind the kick panel on the driver's side. And I have a feeling since we're installing a handful more accessories, I'll probably end up redoing this wiring. The wiring may not be pretty, but it's good enough to fire up the car. That battery sounds weak.
Needs another Scirocco.
Try it again. I don't think that's going to start with that battery.
Ooh.
Go ahead again. That's better.
This is like Scirocco all over again.
Alright. I feel like I'm dry as a bone here. Dry as a bone. Turn the cam.
Hold on.
I mean, I should have fuel coming out of there.
Yeah, no, I know.
Did you plug it back in?
Yeah, I'm like 90% sure I did. Okay. I wonder, are these fuel lines in the right place?
I mean, one's feed.
I thought they were pretty self-explanatory. Can't really be the other way.
Could. Yep, you got them backwards.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Let's try it again.
Alright. Now I got fuel. Alright, cut the key off for a second. Let me plug this airbox back in.
So what was the problem, Paul?
I hooked up the fuel lines backwards when I was plugging them into the fuel pump. I think I was just so happy that I was done with all the tank.
And to be fair, you were also like heavily influenced with fuel.
You stand over a 5-gallon bucket of fuel for like an hour, and then tell me if you're clear-headed.
All right, it is time to get our wideband O2 sensor in it. And funny enough, this is probably the same as a Volkswagen wideband O2. And while I do this, watch this transition, Paul is going to talk about why the heck we're even doing this.
So this is an AEM wideband O2 gauge. We're going to be using this primarily so that we can use an output for our progressive nitrous. Part of that requires a wideband signal. That's to function properly and make sure that all of our nitrous system is going to be safe once we implement it. This thing seems pretty easy to install. 2 harnesses, this guy, we're done.
Also, my favorite part of this, we don't have to weld in a new bung hole because this exhaust already has 3 bung holes, which are now full of oxygen sensors. But luckily, it comes with an extra bung hole if you need another bung hole.
If you need a bung hole, it comes with one.
Double bung hole.
2 bung, but we have 2 bung holes, so we don't need 2. We already got one in there, so we don't need any TV for this bung hole.
In addition to sending the signal out for the nitrous, this air fuel gauge is going to allow us to monitor how rich or how lean our engine is. So with this, we'll be able to monitor our air fuel ratio, see if we're too lean. We can cut nitrous at that point. And it's a pretty easy install. I'll clean this up a little bit. I ran it through to Paulie D in the car there. And how you looking there, Paul?
So here's our gauge right here, and this is the wire that Charles just pushed through from the oxygen sensor. This thing's pretty simple. Plugs in right there to our gauge, and then it has this other harness. This plugs into our OBD2 port underneath. It plugs in to the gauge with this one, and then all we do is give power to it.
Hey!
Look at that.
Doing it? Ah!
Air.
We need more fuel!
Fuel.
Less fuel!
That's actually
Too much fuel!
So as this goes, your RPM goes up. You can see it went lean for a second. That's going to be normal, what you kind of expect to see happen on air fuel gauges.
Now, in addition to actually monitoring what's going on with our engine, Paul and I thought it best to dial back our nitrous jetting just a little bit.
Right now I'm finding the correct jets for the nitrous system. If you recall, we went a little too close to the sun the last time and we exploded the engine. I don't want to lose, so to me, I think we should go straight for 100 shot. You know Icarus, how he had his wings? Our wings were made of nitrous and they were a little too big. So last time we ran 100 shot, at the time we were unaware that it having a boosted car, supercharged or turbocharged, amplifies the shot. So 100 shot isn't really 100, it's more like 150 maybe, or 160 or 170, which is part of the reason why we exploded the engine. So we are starting the lowest possible shot and then we're gonna work our way up from there. So 35 shot, we expect to be somewhere in the 50 range. So we are gonna find the correct jets.
I am just trying to get these out without having too much trouble, although I'm failing at not having too much trouble. George Jetson. There's jet number 1. Yeah, let me get the other one, which I think is going to be infinitely more pain in the butt. Oh, I dropped the whole wrench in the radiator. Oh, it fell out.
Oh, thank you.
That's such a glorious plank. For context, we had a 52 jet in, and we were going down to a 31. That is the difference in what we had on the left and what we're putting in on the right.
Maybe we made a slight error on our previous run. We messed up is what I'm saying. And it was us. Except for, did we mess up?
We got a $1,500 S4 out of the deal. So now another piece of crap car that I have to deal with. So yes, the answer is yes.
Did any of you do research on what's the best gear to hit the nitrous in?
All of them.
All the gears.
All the gears.
No, they're not.
The RPM was actually part of our issue. Is we
had so many issues.
So many issues. But we hopefully alleviated all of them, or I think we've alleviated all of them.
We upgraded rods.
Mm-hmm. We gapped the rings.
We got progressive.
We got more fuel.
We got less nitrous.
And we have safety systems in place.
If it blows up now,
we're just not meant for
we
nitrous.
are not meant for nitrous. It's not meant to be for the Jetta. Going to the scrapyard. We might just leave it at the dyno.
Yeah.
As a
I'm sorry, Ian, for all the mess we've made.
We're gonna sacrifice it to the car gods.
Yeah.
Next up, we are going to install our nitrous purge solenoid. The main reason you'd want to install a purge solenoid is to bleed any air out of the nitrous line. If you don't purge the nitrous line, you can introduce a rich condition until nitrous actually reaches your intake, or there may be a delay in your nitrous delivery. But Paul and I also have a little bit of an ulterior motive.
We need to LED that too.
Yeah, you got to put an LED on it. We're gonna LED it with the purge. That way you get the ultimate cool.
So the way this works is nitrous comes in our main feed line here. It'll come out here to our solenoid that'll then send it to the engine. And this will allow us to vent all the air out of the nitrous line, and internet cool guy points come out this end. So it's pretty cool. And I gotta say, I'm excited about this one.
This is some Johnny Race Car stuff. So if you look here on the line, it's installed right here in between the system. How about some techno music that goes on with the purge? We'll show you testing once he's done with fiddle fudging around.
Fiddle pooping. All right. I think this is on.
Oh.
By the way, thanks for the confidence. And you know what we need to do? We need to hook that bottle up.
We gotta get that
We
bottle.
got to get that bottle.
Where is that? Why
I have procured our bottle.
the bottle?
My little nitrous baby.
Let me get in there. Hold up. Oh, you want to be the coolest cool guy?
I mean, I'm trying to be Johnny Cool Guy here, bro.
You're not going to put the letters up?
No, they have to be.
Laces out, Dan.
We gotta put the laces out, Dan.
How do you turn the bottle on?
Well, all you do is twist this to the left, and your bottle's on. To the left, everything you own in a box
Is
to
it
the left.
satisfying?
I mean, it's always concerning, at least for me. I don't know a lot. I don't have enough nitrous experience to feel completely comfortable just opening it willy-nilly.
You ready?
Opening! I need to put on my man arms. It's open. This right here, I'm not going to get in the face. I'm not going to get sprayed with cool points in the face.
Let's make it quick.
This is the nitrous solenoid. He's going to spray it right now. Yeah, boy, it's not that tight, clearly, because it's spinning around. Yes.
Man, that's so cool.
I love
All right, close that bottle, bro.
We're going to waste our whole NOS bottle.
That's closed.
Did you close it all the way?
Yes.
Like tighten it all the way.
All the way. I even use my man arms.
We're all about to be high AM.
While Paul comes down from that nitrous high, it's time to get our progressive controller installed. This will allow us to precisely dial in how much nitrous we want to use, as well as at what starting and finishing RPM. There's a whole bunch of customization that we're going to be able to do with this. Now, the majority of the time of this install really just involved digging through Volkswagen wiring diagrams to see what signals we could actually get and where to get them. We were able to pull throttle position sensor, RPM, and our mass airflow sensor. There's actually a ton of signal options that you have on this controller. Unfortunately, most of them won't apply to our Jetta. I also did something that I'm not very proud of, but we used Scotch locks to install the progressive controller. Don't worry though, this is only temporary, and once we're done, I'll make sure I fix those wires properly.
How's it going, man?
Well, we're on the home stretch with getting all of our progressive nitrous stuff installed. Everything's in the car. It doesn't look pretty right now, but it will look much, much better. So what I'm actually doing now is I'm going through the configuration process for the progressive controller. You have to input a bunch of information so that the controller knows what it's looking at, things like RPM. Once it knows that, then we can start to determine what the output side looks like for our progressive stuff. So this is kind of like the final stuff that we do. Next up, we're gonna take it to the dyno. I think we'll probably get Ian to help dial some of this stuff in. Either way, all I can tell you is I have 2 computers, stacks of paper, and no hat on, which has become the determining factor on just how it do be going. So yeah, back to nitrous programming.
All right, we are back in action at the dyno, which is right across the street. We're gonna get the Jetta off the trailer, roll it over, and see Ian The plan is to do a couple of pulls just as is from our engine rebuild, no nitrous, and then kind of work our way up with nitrous, which is what we should have done the first time. Also, our man Paul was supposed to be here about 40 something minutes ago. He's not here yet, so rather than just sitting around not doing anything for a while, we're gonna go ahead and get going. I brought the come along too in case we have to pull it up on the trailer, which I'm hoping we don't have to do.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. All the nitruses. Now, for those of you at home that may not remember what happened the last time we were at the dyno, it went something like this. Well, nervous, very nervous. I don't know. The car's all strapped down on the dyno. Big thanks to Ian for taking care of that. Paul, I'm not gonna lie. I'm way more nervous than I was last time. I was more confident last time.
More informed means more nervous. I am nervous as well. We are prepared as much as we can be. Although I'm very, when I say this, I feel nervous.
Play back what he said last time before we puked 100 shot in and blew it up.
I have a lot of faith in the bottom end of European engines. They tend to be pretty strong. Yeah, I did say that. I said that the bottom ends are strong. This bottom end is even stronger because we did upgrade the rods. So dialing it back, plus the upgraded bottom end, plus the fuel, plus the progressive, makes me feel like we are making as solid of a choice as we can here.
What's your horsepower guess? We were at 250, I think, last time.
280.
280.
275.
I like 275. I'm gonna say 263.
Okay.
Or it blows up because a couple of hacks rebuilt the engine.
We didn't torque something properly.
Yeah. Click, click. Nah.
Boom.
Oh, he said boom.
Anxiety got real high right at the real end.
On our first dyno run with no nitrous on our freshly rebuilt engine, we came in at an underwhelming 238 horsepower and 288 pound-feet of torque. So we're gonna do another run without nitrous to see where we land.
Holding my breath. We went up 1 pound-foot of torque and 3 horsepower max.
That's not good, right?
It's not making the progress we want it to make.
Okay, so we have 2 runs in the bank. A bit low on power. The bigger concern, though, this is probably why it's low on power, is that the ECM is pulling a ton of timing back.
So Ian retuned it. He actually adjusted the tune so that it's not requesting as much timing. And so we're gonna get it another go.
And if you remember back, we retuned it here last time. So what the thought process is it's requesting this, and since it's not able to hit that, it's pulling back down to here. So what we're gonna try and do is land somewhere in the middle, get a little more power, get a little torque. If that works and the engine is good, then it's time. Psst, psst. We don't have a button anymore.
I got a purge button.
Ooh, you get to see the purge. But
after having Ian tweak the tune and adding some fresh fuel, we ended up at 241 horsepower and 294 pound-feet of torque. Still a little lower than we had hoped for, but I think we've done all we can. Now we gotta see what happens with nitrous.
okay, so I have what I think is our nitrous controller set. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have it RPM based. Down here, we have all of our lines nice and even. At 3750, we have 1.6% of our nitrous coming on, ramping up to 32.2%, maxed out at 6500. As soon as our RPM is like he's out of the throttle or whatever, it should cut nitrous altogether. I just had this vision of a runaway nitrous issue. So this is gonna test and see if it works and to see if it can hold what should only be 32% of a 35 shot but then you have to count for boost. So maybe this will get us 25. Those of you that are nitrous experts and like, these guys are dumb, they don't know what they're doing with nitrous. You're right.
I'm more nervous about the fact that we built the engine, and when I keep hearing the thing whining out at 7,000 RPM, it like gives me anxiety. That's probably the most anxious I get of this entire experience so far.
You feel like Vin Diesel right now?
Yeah, family.
This nitrous can't blow up our engine as long as we have family.
I'm opening the bottle of this nitrous bottle for family.
Okay, we're about to run. My prediction is it's not going to work because something isn't right.
Yeah, go ahead, perfect.
What was that clicking noise?
I heard that too.
It did.
Okay.
Bro, we got almost 30 horsepower out of that.
All right. All right.
Okay, so I didn't think it actually did work. However, we got 26 horsepower and 15 pound-feet of torque.
I heard the same clicking noise that you heard, Nathan. It made me very nervous. When I heard that, my blood pressure absolutely skyrocketed when I heard that noise.
After a somewhat successful but incredibly stressful trip to the dyno, we need to get the car back to the shop to do some evaluation. On that run with nitrous, it seemed like we were getting a pretty significant amount of pinging or detonation. Now, it could be something as simple as fuel quality, but we need to make sure that we don't have a more severe mechanical issue. Back at the shop, we did a compression test on every cylinder, and all of our numbers were great. We did a cylinder leak down test on each cylinder and had basically the same result. Really great numbers. I also did a running compression check looking for any valve train issues, and everything seemed to come out great there too. So I think at this point, we might need to just hope for the best. And coming up on our series finale,
This is a ground cable. It's like 4 strands of wire.
Keep it moist.
I like
we'll
my
be all right.
cars.